Hi, this is Nicholas Yock, a registered migration agent from Pathway to Oz. Today, I'm going to discuss the different permanent visa options, or the different visa options, I guess, for the occupation of aged or disabled carer. So obviously, it's a very, very in-demand occupation, but it's quite a sort of muddled or difficult to find pathway to PR, just because the skill level is quite low. Now, there are higher skill levels, nurses, disability services officer and stuff like that. But today is specifically focusing on like an aged carer or a disabled carer, someone who's probably done a Cert 3 in individual support, maybe a Cert 4 in disability, something like that. Okay, so looking at the website, the first thing I would do is, type in the occupation, come to the immigration website and see what options are available. Unfortunately, when you do come here, you don't really have much. It's not on any of the occupation lists because it's such a low level skill. So what this means though, is because it is an in-demand occupation, you can still get visa options and pathways to PR, but it's through what's called a labor agreement. Okay, so looking at the immigration website, we're going to come in and have a look at the different sort of labor agreements in here. So there's company specific labor agreements. So that's basically some really large like aged care centers or things like that might have a labor agreement specifically where they've petitioned the government and said, hey, we really need these low skilled occupation or aged carers. Obviously we can't sponsor them on the 482 or the specific visas that we have. Can we do some sort of agreement where we can sponsor them in Sydney, in Melbourne, in Brisbane, or wherever the big facility is? This is very complex and it's quite expensive. So if your employer is not already or doesn't already have a company specific labor agreement, it's really difficult. But what I want to discuss is the different designated area migration agreements. So DAMA. So basically this is all already set up by the federal government. And basically the government allows specific regions to, which are in sort of regional areas, generally speaking, to be able to apply for different occupations or different concessions where you wouldn't usually be able to. And that's because it's so difficult to recruit people to go to those areas. So the occupation, which is not usually on, the medium to long term or short term or even regional list, you can actually do it in some of these regional areas. So we've got videos on DAMA, so check that out. But just having a look at the aged care, looking at this visa options, nothing, right? Labor agreement, that's it. Look at the state or territory lists, nothing, okay? So coming on, looking oh, look at this. There's different sort of pathways to PR, great, up to the age of 55, amazing. And all these different areas have the occupational aged or disabled carer on the list. So Northern Territory, South Australia, etc., going all the way down. You've got the big ones, Far North Queensland, Townsville, they all need them. All right, so that basically from there, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the specific regional area. So I'm just going to go for South Australia, but you would look at any specific regional area to see the requirements. So they do have concessions in regards to, well, here we go, English. So you might be able to do it with a lower level English than a standard 482. The salary, the TISMIT, the age, the pathway to PR, that's huge, okay? So looking at South Australia, I've come to the DAMA occupation list, but you'd go to any state or wherever you want to go to. Come down, aged or disabled carer, so skill level 4, lower level. Where can you do it? The whole of South Australia, awesome. And qualification, so skills and work experience requirements. So you need to have at least a Cert 3 qualification or equivalent. So Cert 3 in individual support is probably the most common, or 2 years of relevant work experience within the last 3 years to substitute for the qualification, okay? And we would need to have work experience of at least 20 hours per week. How much? We would need to have at least 1 year of work experience within the last 3 years to qualify. Cool, great. And And then after 3 years of work experience, we can then go for PR. Your skills are assessed. So what do I need? I need my IELTS 5.0, no score lower than 4, great. Tismet concessions, okay, great. And there is a pathway to PR as long as they've not turned 45. So basically what this means is if you go to, South Australia really, and you can find an employer, probably an aged care centre or something like that, they don't need to have a specific labour agreement. They can use the South Australia Dharma labour agreement. And if you've got a Cert 3 qualification, if you've got at least 1 year of work experience and the minimal IELTS, your employer can potentially sponsor your visa. So we have different videos on the Dharma pathway, but it is possible they can sponsor your visa. You'd get on a Dharma stream of a 482 visa, and then after 3 years, you can convert it to PR. So, there are PR pathways for aged or disabled carers. It's just not as straightforward as a lot of the other occupations, just because it's not on most of the lists. So look, we've got a lot of other videos, which I think you'd find very helpful, but I hope you found that useful. And if you do want to discuss your situation in detail, feel free to contact Pathway to Oz. Thank you.